London is a city that shouldn't exist. Unlike Rome, perched on its 7 hills, or Athens, centered on its high Acropolis, London was born in a swamp. 2,000 years ago, the River Thames was much wider, shallower, and prone to violent tidal surges. There were no embankments, only mudflats and thick oak forests. But in the summer of 43 AD, the Roman war machine arrived. The Emperor Claudius needed a victory to solidify his shaky throne, and Britain, a land of gold, tin and slaves, was the target. As the legions pushed north from the coast, they encountered a problem: how to move massive amounts of supplies across a tidal river. They looked at a spot where 2 small hills, which we now call Cornhill and Ludgate Hill, rose slightly above the marsh. Here, the river narrowed. It was the perfect place for a bridge. But the Romans did more than build a bridge. They built a port of hubs. Londinium was not a planned city like those in Italy. It began as a chaotic, gritty frontier town. Imagine the sound: the rhythmic thud of pile drivers forcing oak timbers into the riverbed, the shouting of sailors in a dozen dialects, and the smell of fresh-cut timber and salt. This was the Wild West of the Roman Empire. By the year 60 AD, Londinium was flourishing. It was a town of roughly 10,000 people, mostly merchants and civilian contractors. But they were living on stolen land. To the north, the death of the Iceni king Prasutagus led to a brutal Roman land grab. His widow, Queen Boudica, was flogged, and his daughters were violated. The resulting rage was a firestorm. Boudica raised an army of 100,000 tribespeople. They leveled Colchester. They leveled St. Albans. Then, they turned toward the wealth of Londinium. Archaeology tells us a story that the history books don't. Excavations at One Poultry and the Bloomberg site revealed a red layer. This is a scorched earth horizon, nearly a foot thick in places, consisting of burnt daub, charred grain, and household items frozen in time. The heat was so intense, estimated at over 1,000 degrees Celsius, that it melted the very glass in the windows. The inhabitants who couldn't flee were slaughtered. There was no mercy. For a moment, it looked like the Roman experiment in Britain was over. When you walk through the city of London today, remember that beneath your feet, 13 feet down, lies the charred remains of a city. Rome's response to the burning of London was not retreat, but escalation. Within years, the city was rebuilt. But this time, it was designed to last. Let's talk about the Forum Basilica, located under what is now Leadenhall Market. The Forum was the heart of the city's commerce and law. At its north end stood the Basilica, the administrative headquarters. This building was the largest building of its kind north of the Alps. To build it, the Romans had to import thousands of tons of stone, a logistical feat that would be difficult even today. But the Romans didn't just work, they lived. We have found the London Curse tablets, small lead sheets where citizens wrote down grievances. One tablet asks the gods to liquefy a person who stole a pair of gloves. It shows Roman Londoners were remarkably like us. They also brought luxury. The public baths were the social clubs of the day. Excavations revealed sophisticated underfloor heating called hypocausts. Imagine a cold, damp Tuesday in November in London. Outside, it's raining. But inside the baths, you are lounging in 40-degree water. But not all entertainment was spiritual. In 1988, while renovating the Guildhall, archaeologists found the lost amphitheater. This arena could hold 6,000 people. It wasn't just for gladiators, it was for public executions and beast hunts. For a Roman Londoner, a Friday afternoon spent watching a criminal face a bear was the height of civic life. By the late 2nd century, the atmosphere changed. The Golden Age was over. Around 200 AD, they built the London Wall. It stretched for 3.2 kilometers, enclosing 330 acres. It required over 1 million blocks of stone. This wall would define the city. To this day, the shape of the financial district is dictated by where the Romans decided to put their gates: Aldgate, Bishopsgate, Ludgate. But the wall was also a symptom of fear. As trade slowed, the great docks, once crowded with ships, began to rot. Archaeological layers showed dark earth, suggesting the city's open spaces were being turned into vegetable patches. In 410 AD, the end came with a letter. The Emperor Honorius told the Britons to look to their own defenses. With that, the Roman state vanished. The soldiers marched to the coast and sailed away. Londinium became a city of ghosts. Why does Londinium matter today? Because the Romans gave London its DNA. When King Alfred the Great reoccupied the city in the 9th century, he simply moved back into the Roman walls. Today, when you take the tube, you are often traveling alongside Roman roads. We are just the latest tenants in a house built by Romans. Londinium is still there, in fragments of the wall at Tower Hill, in the name of Watling Street, in the gold coins in the Thames. It is the silent, stone foundation upon which the greatest city in the world was built.